Hey, good morning, guys. It's June 3rd, and the passage this morning and Chambers' take on it's a little convicting. In all honesty, it is Psalm 25:14, and it's the Lord confides in those who fear Him; He makes His covenant known to them. And Chambers takes that and he talks about letting God speak to us. One of my biggest I'm trying to think flaws as a friend, as a husband has been the fact that I too often I overshare. Not that it's bad to share, but it's to the point of not listening. And what Chambers is getting at is we share with God all of our sorrows and secrets, but do we listen? And I think it's something we rarely think about, listening to God share with us. And it's interesting because as kind of a natural extrovert, most people who've spent any time with me already know most of my thoughts. I make them known pretty easily and pretty quickly and pretty freely. But so for me sharing, I'm usually just sharing things that most people already know, especially Brandy. But if I stop and listen, I'm often, especially with Brandy, going to hear things that I didn't know. And that's the way it is. What Chambers is saying is God knows everything about us. Not that it's not important for us to share our sorrows and joys and thoughts, concerns, but that we have to listen because He already knows all those things. He knows all the things we struggle with, all the things we're concerned about, but we have to listen. And Psalm 25:14 says, here I'll read it now. The Lord confides in those who fear Him. He confides in His prophets, both good and bad things, all the promises, and that's what it says here. He makes His covenant known to them, His promises known to them. All the promises of God are revealed to His saints. So anyway, all that said, I just thought what I miss when I share too much without listening, both in my relationship with others and in my relationship with God. And so then I thought, okay, how much time am I spending? How much effort am I spending listening to God, making sure that I'm listening and saying, Lord, what would you tell me? What would you have me to know? It says, he says, have we ever let God tell us any of His joys? Or are we telling God our secrets so continually that we leave no room for Him to talk to us? Leaving room for Him to talk to us. And the way he finishes it off here, whenever there is doubt, he talks about when we get to the point where God is sharing with us, because us sharing with Him, I was listening to a young couple recently have a conversation, and I just thought, after all these years, I heard the conversation, and I thought, oh, that's not the way you talk to each other. It's just I realized that there is something that I have learned over the years, being married to Brandy, because I have taken time to listen. When I do take time to listen, I learn things. This little, is that, I think it's a whisker, a gray whisker. I just realized, no, it's toothpaste. I'm sorry, you guys. I apologize. I had toothpaste on my lip, and that was bothering me. Anyway, so the I was listening to them and I thought, oh, that's what you learn over years of being married to someone by listening to them. You hear those little cues that a young couple that's just starting out doesn't hear. They don't hear those cues with each other. And I think that's what God wants from us. He wants to be able to speak to us in a way that when we hear it, it automatically and instantly kind of resonates in our ear. And so the way Chambers ends it here, whenever there's doubt, stop at once. Never reason it out. So when you hear something from God, stop. When you get to the point where God's voice is is very evident. Stop. Never reason it out and say, I wonder why I shouldn't. God instructs us in what we choose. That is, he guides our common sense. Once we get into a relation in a two-way street with God, where we're hearing from God, he he guides our common sense, and we no longer hinder his spirit by continually saying, now Lord, what is thy will? And I think if I were to kind of say it more succinctly, what Chambers is saying there is that we're not we shut up long enough to hear his will instead of constantly babbling, what is your will, what is your will, what is your will? My own weakness, my own weakness. Anyway, sorry. I hope I said something worthwhile today. I don't know. You guys take it for what it is. Have a great day.